Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Code Tricks. So in this video, I'm going to be creating a to-do list application that we can use to just track our to-do list here. We can see now we could enter what we want to do here now. We could just say go to the market. You could enter whether using the enter key or by just pressing add tags here, and you could just delete some tags and more things. You could load a tags from your file where you save them. Now I load some tags here and I could just like add more to these tags and just say okay, wash, let's just say wash, okay, thumbnail. So I could just like do a whole lot of things like that and just like okay, just and we have a scrolling bar here that we could use to like scroll through this, and now you could delete also all these things. Now to select and delete them, and if you are not selecting anything and trying to delete, you get a warning here that you must select a tags to delete, and if you are trying to add to, you get a warning that you must enter a tags to add. And now you have an add button too that is showing you an info button of how this is created, and also you could save these tags to a list and you could just have okay, you just have it as try. Now we save this. Now I could delete all these or just few of them, and I could go back and just load these tags from where I saved it to, and now I can see I'm getting back all my tags. So we are going to be making this. So come along and let's build this beautiful to-do list app. Thank you. So the first thing we're going to do now is import our Tkinter. So just import Tkinter. Then from Tkinter we want to import two other libraries from there. That's message box and file dialog box. So let's have our class here and we'll call it class to do. Let's call it to the app. Then we want to reference the window here by initializing the root here. So we also call the root here also. So now the first one to have now is self.root equals to what? Root. Then we want to set our title. So we set the title now. Let's call it to-do list app. So let's call it to-do list app. So this will be our title now. I want to set the dimension of this window. So geometry, I will make this just like a square. That's 400 by 400 dimension. So let's have our title label, and we have self.title now. Label equals to tk.label. Write as a child of the root. They want to set the text to equals to do list. Yeah, let's have our font, and this font now will be set to a tuple, and we have vertical, and we want the font size to be 16. So just like this. So let's pack this now. Self.title label dot pack. So let's give this a padding on the y-axis. Let's make it 10. And our tk is like this because we didn't import this place as tk. So let's have it as this as tk. So then we have that. So before I continue, let's just so that we can see our window outside. So let's have if name equals to main root equals to tk dot tk. So right now I just created the application window. They want to create an instance of this to-do app. So they just have to do here, to-do app. Then we'll have this instance here. So now just want to run the main loop. So let's run this. So now we have this as our to-do app. We can see our label here. We have our label here as our to-do app, and we can see the dimension is just like 400 by 400, just like a square. So we have it like that. So now we are going to create the entry box. So let's have our tax entry here. So the tax entry now is where you can enter the tax before you like press enter or press the key to press the button to enter the tax. So we're going to have this as tk.entry. Then we have it as a child of the root. Then we want the width to be set to 35. Now if the width is 35, we want the font also to be vertical, and we want the font size to be 14. So then we have self.tax entry too. So let's pack this. I want to give this a padding on the y-axis, a padding of 10. So after that, we want to have tax entry also. And what do we want to do here? We want to bind this to an event, but I will just comment this for now. We'll come back to it later on. So we're going to have our button here now, our add button, add tax button. So we're going to have our add tax button here now. And how do we want this to be? This will be now self.add tax, self.add tax button equals to tk.button. So this will be a child of the root also. Then we want the text to be set to add tax. Yes, text set to add tax. I will come back to the command. So now let's pack this add tax button dot pack. I'll give it a padding on the y-axis. Padding will be set to 5. Okay, so that is there now. So we have our add tax button. You can see it here now. We have the button. So after we input the tax here, we can press this add tax button. Then the tax will be displayed down here. So let's create the frame that is going to hold the tax list now. So this is going to hold okay, let me say to hold the tax list and its scroller bar. So now self tax list frame also tk.frame, and this will be a child of the root. Then what do you want to do now? We want to pack this tax frame.pack. So after we pack this now, let's now have our actual tax lists here. So tax list box here. And now I want to have self.tax list now, tax list box. So we're going to be using a widget called list box this time around. So this is just like a box that displays lists. It's a box, then you can have like different types of lists under it. Inside that same box, then you can use scroll bar to like scroll through the list there. So self. So we want this to be a child of self.tax list frame. And we want the width to be set to 34. And now the height will be set to 9. And we want the font to be vertical. So now the font is vertical. We want this to be 14. And the font size to be 14. So let's pack this. So tax list box.pack. So let's have a padding on the y-axis and let's make this 10. And we have a side. Let's make sure that this is at the left side so that we can have our scroll bar at the right side. So now we just completed this now. Now we can see this tax list now. This is our list. So whenever we input this and add tax, so it's going to display this tax here. So let's have our scroll bar. So our scroll bar for the list box now. So self.scrollbar, tk.scrollbar, self.tax list frame. So it's going to be a child of the tax list frame now. Then now self.scrollbar.pack, go to side, goes to tk.right. So we're actually telling this scroll bar that I want it to be on the right part of this tax frame. So this will be on the left side. So this scroll bar now will be on the right part, on the right side. So we want this to fill the side here. I want it to fill the y-axis, tk.y. So it's going to fill the y-axis. And now one more thing now. We need to configure the tax list box now. So we say .config, and we are configuring this so that we can make it know that whenever the command for the y-axis to roll the y-axis is connected to this scroller here, so self.scrollbar.set. So we are setting that, okay, this command now, the command that we scroll this tax list here is going to be whenever this scroll bar is, whenever there is a command passed from this scroll bar, this tax list should be the one like responding to that command. So we have self.scrollbar.config. We have command equals to self.taxlist with taxlistbox.yview. So now we are making this to like control the tax list box, just the y view. So this command is controlling the y view. So we have linked the scroll bar to the list box here now. We've linked them together. Then now we are linking the list box to the scroll bar's view here. So whenever this scroll bar is like is scrolled, it's going to be controlling the tags view. So before we show the code, let's have our delete button. Self.delete. Okay, let me just comment this first. Okay, let me just say delete button. So let's have self. Okay, delete tags button. tk.button. We have root. So now let's have the text set to. So let's have delete tags here. Okay, we'll come back to the command. So now let's have self.delete. Let's pack this now. Delete tags button dot pack. I want to have a padding on the y-axis equals to 5. So now we have this as scroll bar here, but it's not yet activated until this scroll bar is like already running out of. It's running out of space to contain all the lists. So we have to like have the scroll bar activated then. Come in. Okay. So what's the next thing we want to do now? We want to have our menu so that we can be able to like save, load tags, save and load tags, and perhaps a help menu just for fun and description. So let's just have a comment here and call it menu bar. So okay, menu bar setup here. So self.menu equals to tk.menu. So we have root. Then we want to configure our roots now and tell this root that the menu is self.menu. So we have set the menu bar for the root window now. The next thing we want to do now is, okay, let's have our file menu here. Okay, so our file menu, and we want to have self.file menu is equals to tk.menu self.menu tear off equals to false. So we are creating a file menu now without a tear off, and let's have self.menu here dot add cascade. So we want the label now to be set to file. It should be a string. The label now is set to file, and we want the menu to be file self.file menu. So this is it. So if we should run this again, I will see that now we have a file menu here. Now we have a file menu, but it does not have any command here. So let's do that. So to add command now, we are just going to call this self.file menu again dot add command. So we're going to give that command a label, and let's have the first one to be save tags, and let's just copy this, and let's have this to be load tags. So having these two commands now, we are going to create a command later on. So let's just copy this and use it to create our help menu. So we're going to have it here, and let's rename this to, so let's call it help. So we have our help menu now, and we call this help. So we have this help menu, and we really want to have one command here, and that's just about. So now our widget is okay and ready, and we can see, but there is no command, so it's doing nothing now. So let's work on this function that is going to be like serving as a command for the buttons. So the first function we want to work on here is the add tags function. That's the first thing we want to work on. So let's have it here, def. Okay, let me just say, let me scroll this up a bit. Function to add tags. Okay, so say def add tags here. So self, then we want to have the tags here equals to self.entry.get. So now we are getting the value of our entry widget here, which we define right above here. So we're getting the value inside this entry widget. There are actually two ways you can get the value, either using the .get method or using a variable, where you just have to set a string variable because it's a string variable. But we are going to be using the get method for this video. So now when we get a variable here now, we want to actually check, yes, if there's actually something inside this entry. So if you actually get something, once you check this, if the entry is not empty, what do you want to do? Then we want to like modify this list box. So self.listbox.insert now. Insert. And what are we inserting now? We want to insert these tags at the end of the list box. So we are going to use this predefined variable just at the end there, and this is what we are inserting there, these tags, right? Then what do we want to do after that? We want to clear this self.entry. We don't want, okay, after we've inserted the tags now, we don't want this tags to still be hanging around in our self.entry, in our entry widgets. So we want to delete it now. Make sure there's 0 there, and okay, tk.end. Just want to clear this entry widget then. But otherwise, what do we want to do? So this is where we're going to be using the message box we imported here. Message box and the file dialog box. We'll be using the file dialog box soon when we are loading and saving. But for the message box now, we want to have an error, but we want to undo this error now. We are going to have an error if does not exist there, but we want to undo this error now. I want to show warnings, not error. Show warning, and the title of this little window that is going to pop up is going to be warning, and the content inside this window should be you must enter a tax. So let's see how this works, and let's add this to this our add tax button right over here. So let's have this command here, and let's set it to self.add tax, right? So we are good to go. So now let's say we have, okay, wash plate. Let's say wash clothes. Now we can see it here, right? We are washing the clothes. But now we're having an error here. Tags.entry have no attribute delete. Or there's a typo there, so let's go and fix that. So now we are back. So you say wash clothes. So now we enter into the list, and this place is now empty, right? Okay, what else can we say? Go to the market, right? Let's say we have go to the market. But now I want to be able to like add this tag by just pressing enter, but I can't. So let's work on that and just fix that now. So, and that's why we have the bind option before to the add tags here. Okay, that's why we have this bind. We want to be able to like, okay, bind an all key with this. So using this bind now, you just have this greater than, less than, then the key you want to bind here, then the function here. In our case here is the function add tags. So we're binding this key now. So whenever we are in this entry, our cursor is in this entry is like kind of active, and we hit the enter key, it's meant to like perform this function. It's meant to call this function. So let's try and run this. So this is actually going to throw back a error. Let's say okay, go. Now you can see I'm having an error because it said to do the task takes one position argument, but two were given. So now this bind is like giving it its argument itself, and looking at this our task function here is only take one. So for that we have to have a second argument, because whenever we are using this bind we are calling an event, we have to have this argument set to none. So I will just close this so we can run it again, and now we can say go home. By just pressing enter, we're able to like enter this. But notice one thing, if you are not on this widget, it won't be able to like enter, won't work. So that's like this. So we can just like, okay, add this now. So that's work well. Now let's work on the deleting functionalities of this place. So we can just like delete a tax. So okay, let's have a delete function here, and let's just say okay, function to delete the selected tags. Okay, selected tags from the list. So we have dev delete tags now. So we have ourselves. I want to throw this, I want to put this in a try block. So we just want to have okay a variable here called selected tags index. I want to set this to self.tags list. So we want to access this tags list box here. Then we want to have this cursor selection. That's calling the one that is selected. Then we are getting the index of that. So we're getting the index of the selected tags here. And what do we want to do? Set.tags list now. Tags list box. We want to delete that selected index. Selected index, right? So I want to delete that selected index, but else, let's say we are not, let's say maybe we are not selecting any option, but we are pressing the delete button. What do we want to do? We want to also show warning, and this time around, we want to have warning, you must select a task to delete. So this is all about our delete function. So we can just like, okay, let's delete button. Can just look for the delete button here, and okay, let's add it as a command here. So we have command is equals to self dot delete task. So if I should run this again now and I press delete, you get this one here, right? You must select a task. And if I should press add task and we don't have any task here, you must enter a task. So if I should just say, okay, cook, now I'm cook code, and now I want to delete one of these. I could just select code. Now it's deleted, right? So now we can both delete tasks now, and but now let's say every time we run this, it's like giving us a blank to-do list. And let's say now I want to have like different to-do lists. I want to have one for Monday, one for Tuesday, one for Wednesday, and I want to like be able to like have access to all these things. So let's work on saving this to-do list. Let's work on saving this to-do list. So we're going to have a function, another function now. So now we want to work on saving the, let's say, function to save the to-do list. So function to save tasks. So we're going to save in the tasks to a file. So now let's have dev save tasks. We're going to have this like, okay, self. And what do we want to do? We want to have the tasks save dot list dot task list box dot get. We want to get everything in this list box, and we want to set it to this variable called tasks. So we're getting everything right from the very first index to the end. From the beginning, we are getting everything. So we want to have a file path now, and this is where we are going to be using the file dialog here. We want to have the file path. I want to have this file dialog. I want to call this file dialog. So now I want to ask for save as file name. So on this, you want to have the default file extension here to be set to .txt. So I'm just going to be saving it as txt file. You can decide to save it as a JSON file from dictionaries. Then you're going to be having the accepted extension here, and it's just going to be okay. You're going to have tags here. So you're going to be a list, and we're going to have a tuple inside. So we're going to have text files. We have text files, then okay, we want to have the extension also txt. So we want to have it just like this now. So let me just this here. Okay, I think that's okay. So now we want to check if file path exists now. That means if the user has selected a file path, then we want to go ahead and just like with open, we want to open this file path. So we want to open this file path in writing mode. Then we want to open it as file. So we want to open this now for tags in tags. So I want to look through all the tags we've initially set to this variable right here. So when we look through all these tags now, what do we want to do? We want to write each tags. We want to write each tags now in this file. So file.write. So let's use the formatted string here, and we want to call this tags here. Then we want to make sure that okay, the next tag is always going to be in a new line. So this is how we save it actually. Now if I should run this now and let's see. Okay, I have not added the save button to the command first. So we have the file save them. Let's just have the command there. And save tags. Wow. I think I didn't name the function well. Okay, it's meant to be S and not E. So let's run this again now. When we run this again now, we can get to this save tags and we can see that it's asking us like for a place to save it. And this was actually when, okay, this is actually a file I've saved before. So you could name this anyhow and just like save it, but I would like to have this load before we test that. So let's say def load tags now. So we have def load tags here, just like load that. So I would like to have this function here, and let us say function to load tags, right? To load tags from a file. So this function is going to load the tags from a file. So we're going to have self here. So once we have this self here, now I want to also have a file path. So we'll be going through almost a similar thing like this. We want to have a file path. I want to sell this to file dialog dot ask open file name. And what do we want to do? We want to have just file types. I want to set it to a list of tuples. Let's have text. Okay, we have text files here. So after text files, we have dot txt. Now that's out. Okay, this should be a tuple here. Okay, I think there is y8 file types. Okay, 2 equal to. So we have if file name now. If file path. Then we want to go through this process of opening this file again. Then we want to open this file path, but only that in this mode we are not writing to it, we are reading from it, right? Then as file. So when we open this file path as file now, what do we want to do? Let's have this tags now and we set it to file dot read lines. So we're reading all the lines here in this file path. So it's going to read everything now. Then now we want to loop through this. Okay, first we have to delete this box so that anything on this file box should be deleted and will only be loading just the one we are reading now. So from the very first first index here to the end, tk.end. Then for tags in tags, we are looping through all the tags in this list. What do we want to do? We want to say self dot tags list box dot insert, right? So tk.end, then tags.strip. So I'm making sure that there's no space, just like that, like there's no free space from at the beginning or at the end. Make sure that we're just like getting only the text and the text alone. So let's add this to our other function here, our command here, not the about the load tags command. And let's just have it as self dot load tags, right? So let's run this and see. Now let's say I enter some tags here and say cook code film a video edit, okay, thumbnail. So and now I want to save this. I just say save tags here, and I can just name this Tuesday. This is Tuesday tags now. Let's say this is Tuesday tags actually. So now I'll save it now. So if I should just like delete all this, let me just delete it like this, and now let's load these tags back. Now we have Tuesday tags here. I could just select these tags now and just open. Now we're getting this back, right? And we're getting it right in the order like it was loaded. So let me just delete these first two now and just like load it back. Now we're getting it back, right? And I could save this again. Okay, before that, let me delete thumbnail and save this again. I'd save this as this. Yes, we are replacing this now. Now I could load back my Tuesday tags and see that thumbnail no longer exists there. Understand? So this is just like how we do it. So now let's just do the last one, just like to show you about ourselves. Okay, just the about the app and the about function. So let's just work with that here. So def show about self. So I have my comment up here. Function. Okay, here's our function to show about dialog. Okay, show about dialog. So now I want to have message dot show. Now we're not showing error, we're not showing one, we are showing an information. Show inform. Then we just say about. Just say to do list app. Then let's just have a new line here. Then we have created with Tkinter, okay, by Drex. So now we go to about. Okay, we've not connected this function to the command itself. So say command now equals to self dot show about. So now we could go to about and just, okay, now we could get this info window and just like telling us about to-do list app created with Tkinter by Drex. So that will be all for today. Thank you very much for watching this. See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Goodbye.